Michelle with Pink and Main. Thanks for joining me today. We're going to be using the Gumballs stamps and dies, and we're going to be making 3 different cards. So we're going to use the stamps and dies 3 different ways, and we're going to add some foiling in for some extra fun. So let's get started. We're going to do all our foiling first for our 3 cards, and that's so I can get the machine heated up here. I'm just going to turn it on. I use a setting of 3 for most all of our foiling here. It seems to work really well. Sometimes you can use 2 if you don't need quite that much heat. I'm using some of our foilables. I've got the medium and the large dots. And I also have this purple toner sheet that's from our rainbow colored toner sheets. So we're going to show you how to do some fun foiling with these real quick, and they're going to be parts of our cards. Our Mink machine comes with 1 transfer folder, which is like a carrier sheet or transfer folder. That's what's going to take our foilables and the foil through the machine safely and out the other side. So we're going to need one of those. First thing we're going to foil is this piece I've cut to size of the large dots foilables, and we want to clean or dust off the foilable before we add the foil to it. If there is any kind of dust, glitter, fibers, anything on top of the toner on those foilables, it is not going to allow the foil to adhere in that spot. It creates like a barrier. So what happens is that's where you get those little black flecks that can happen when you foil. We're also going to dust off the back side of our foil, which is the side that goes onto the foilable. I'm using our cleanup brush, which is a nice soft bristle brush. You want to use the cleanup brush only for foiling. You don't want to have the same brush used for cleaning up glitter or flocker or something, because you might have those fibers and glitter in the brush and then put them onto your foil. So I have a separate brush just for my foiling. You can also use our Scrub It Clean microfiber cloth. Just 1 swipe over everything to clean up any dust or debris that might be on the foilables or the foil. And we're just going to add these into our transfer folder. So I've put the foil on the foilable pretty side up. You always want to see the pretty side of the foil when you're foiling with your Mink machine or laminator. You want to put the folded side of the transfer folder into the Mink machine. Once we have it centered in there, we just kind of let the Mink machine take it. And I support the bottom just to keep it even, so it goes into the machine nice and even. And it takes a few seconds, and then it comes out the other side. Be careful when it comes out. It will be hot to the touch. I'm going to remove both the foilable and the foil in one piece intact from the carrier sheet and set it aside. I know you're excited. You want to see your foiled project finished, but let's give it a second to cool off. Transfer from the foil onto the foilable is a heated process, so you're actually kind of melting that toner a little bit, and the foil is adhering to that melted toner. If you remove your foil while the toner is still sticky or a little melty, you may remove that bond that the foil has. Next, I'm going to take, this is our medium dots foilable, and I've got some of our Roy G. Biv foil. If you don't know what that is, it's red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet. I learned that in school. It's colors of the rainbow. And we're gonna dust these off as well. You want to make sure you cut your foil slightly larger than the foilable or piece of paper that you're foiling. You don't want any toner to show through in the transfer folder, because that toner will melt and it will stick to your transfer folder. So we want to make sure all of our toner is covered with foil. I stick it in the folder again, folded side in, and we run it through. I'm just supporting it again. While that piece finish is running through, let's do the reveal of this one. So our first piece, I use glitzy gold. It's a beautiful gold. It's just like kind of glittery when you move it in the light. So just slowly remove that from our dots. And there is our gorgeous foiled piece. Oh, I love that. And then you don't get rid of your negative foils because that pattern that's in there, you can transfer onto something else, and I'll show you that in a second. So our next piece is out. Again, I'm going to remove it carefully from the transfer folder, both pieces, but I'm not going to pull that foil off of the foilable yet. I want to let it cool and continue to perfectly adhere. So now once this is cool to the touch, I can carefully peel away the foil. Oh my gosh, it's my favorite part, the reveal. Look at those gorgeous rainbow colored dots. So fun. Now I mentioned we don't want to throw away our negative foil because we're going to use that. Typically you've had black toner sheets that you could use for your negative foiling, but we have colored toner sheets. We want to dust them off as well. No dust. Want nice full coverage of our foil onto this. So this is a solid toner printed sheet. It's just in color. So we're going to lay our negative piece of foil onto our colored toner sheet, and we'll put these into our transfer folder, and we'll run it through the make machine. And again, we'll remove both pieces from the transfer folder and wait for it to cool before we do our reveal. I'm going to turn the ink machine off. We're done with our foiling, and I'll move it out of the way. As I'm looking at this, I can already tell there's like a little bump in the foil right there where I didn't get a piece of dust or something off of there. But when we're making our cards, there's probably something I'm going to add to the top of that. We do our reveal. Oh gosh, and look at that. We have this beautiful polka dot background. The dots are purple where the toner is showing, and we have that full rainbow background. So much fun to use the negative of your foils, and now you can use them on colored toner paper. So before we would just have black polka dots if we used black toner paper. For our first card, we're going to use the Gumball Stamp and Die with our scratch off sticker sheets. So I designed the Gumball stamp set and dies to work with our scratch off sheets. So there's a die that will cut out the glass bowl of the Gumball machine. And so I've die cut a piece of our silver scratch off sticker sheets, which are adhesive on the back. We just peel and stick. So we'll use that towards the end of the card. I've already stamped and die cut our Gumball machine, and I've stamped the sentiment Sweet Birthday Wishes on the inside. So we're going to make just a sweet and simple card. I've got a red card base using our stop sign 100-pound cardstock, and we're going to layer that medium polka dot foilable sheet that we did with the rainbow foil. We're going to put that right on top. Oh, it's just so gorgeous. Our foilable panels come 4 inches by 5 1/4, so they fit perfectly within an A2 size card, giving you that little border around it. You can always cut them smaller if you need them for a smaller project. I've cut a strip of paper from our Riverwalk cardstock. It's nice turquoise, about 1 1/4 inches wide. by 5¼ inches tall. Still fit right within that foilable panel. And then about a 1/4 inch strip of our street light cardstock. I'm just putting it right at the edge of the Riverwalk cardstock there. Now I'm just going to glue the gumball machine right in the center. You could pop it up with foam tape, but keep in mind when using the scratch-off stickers or the sticker sheets that the recipient is going to be scratching that silver part away. So they're going to be putting some weight to it, and the foam kind of gives a little. So if it's glued directly down onto the card, they have a better surface for scratching. So we could leave our card like this, but I really like that little scratch off piece there to cover, and it just makes a fun interactive card. So I took the die, I just die cut a piece from the sticker sheet. The silver part goes up on the top, that's what they're going to scratch. You simply peel it away from the yellow backing. And it fits perfectly over that glass bowl of the gumball machine. I love the polka dot foilable with the gumballs. It just kind of plays on the gumball theme there with the polka dots. A super fun card. For our next card, we are going to make a shaker card out of that gumball machine. It's going to be so much fun, and we're going to use that negative piece that we foiled from the first card. First, I'm going to glue down our foiled piece to, I've cut out a white piece of cardstock with our scalloped rectangle dies, and we're going to add that to another red card base. And if you're working with liquid glue like I am here, I'm using our Easy Squeeze craft glue. You want to remember, if you get any glue on your fingers, you'll probably want to clean it or wipe it off before you do a lot of touching to the foiled pieces, because if you get any wet glue on the foil, it will dull it down. So I just try to be extra careful if I'm using liquid glue and the foilables. There it is so far. Oh, I'm loving that. Next, I had to create our shaker window for the card. Since the die for the inside of the bowl on the gumball machine, it cuts out that entire bowl. So you won't have a border around the edge. So you couldn't die cut the machine and then cut out the center and have a border, create a window. So I kept it on white piece of paper that I stamped and colored it on, and just cut out a rectangle around it. That way I could cut out the bowl, and then I've just used a piece of my stamp packaging as the acetate to go behind the window. Just need something clear to glue to the back of this to create your little window that's going to hold your shaker pieces. We want to lift it up off the other paper underneath so that the sequins or shaker pieces can move around underneath the window. So I've used our foam tape, and I've just created a frame around this circle. Mine looks a little messy because I just cut little pieces, but as long as nothing can shake out from any little open areas around this window, we're good. I thought it would be fun behind my shaker window to have the bowl with the gumballs stamped inside. So I need to glue that piece to the yellow cardstock, which is going to be the base of our shaker piece here. So I just need to figure out where to glue it so that it lines up with the bowl on the shaker piece on top. So I'm going to add some glue to the back of this. I'm going to line up my shaker window where I want it on the cardstock, and then I'm just going to kind of slide this underneath and put it in place. The nice thing about the liquid glue is that you usually do have a few seconds to move something around. That looks like I have it pretty good there. I'm just going to slide it. And we'll put it down. I love making shaker cards. They are very simple to make. Once you've done them once or twice, you'll be making them like a pro in no time. See how that fits nicely right over there? And it looks like we have glass with the gumballs inside. But we're not done. We're going to add those fun shaker elements inside so it becomes a fun interactive card. I've got some bright, colorful confetti sequins from one of our past Crafty Courtyard kits. And I thought this matched really well, and they kind of look like the little gumballs in the gumball machine. So I'm going to lay them where I want them to be in that shaker window. Now I'm just going to remove the release paper from the foam on my shaker frame. I love our foam tape for several reasons, but one of them is because the release paper comes off so easily. Now we just have to place our top shaker frame piece down onto the cardstock and over those sequins. And we want to press all around so that we get a good seal around that window so nothing shakes out. And look at that. How fun is that? Now we have a gumball shaker card. Oh my goodness, that is so cute. And I'm just going to glue this piece now down onto our card base. Just going to go right in the center. And here is the front of our card. There's just enough of that fun foiled background showing to make it extra sparkly. And we've got our colorful little shaker sequins on the inside. This is a super fun card. The last thing I'm going to do is put a sentiment on the inside. I didn't think I had a nice space for it on the outside there, and I didn't want to cover up any of my gumball machine. So I stamped and just cut out white cardstock. Never let anyone burst your bubble. We'll just place that right there. Top center. And there is our second card. Fun little shaker card. For our last card, we're going to make a mini slimline card. And the mini slimline cards I make are 6 inches by 3.5 inches when folded. So what I do is I take our slimline card bases, which are 8.5 by 3.5 when folded, and I cut 2 inches off of an end. And that way I get my mini slimline card. But I don't waste the 2 inches that I cut off the end. I can use that for stamping sentiments or stamping little images on. And we're going to be using this super fun die. This is our Layered Scallops Mini Slimline die. And it doesn't look like much in the packaging. It looks kind of weird. It looks like this. the scallops don't go all the way around the rectangle, and you go, what in the world? But what you do is you cut it out of two colors. So I have a red and I have a turquoise. And you just flip the top or the bottom one 180, and you layer them together, and you get the alternating colored scallops. I think that is so cool. This is such a fun die. And we now have this die in a circle as well as an A2 size. So it's the layered scallops dies. So I'm going to glue these layers down. So it fits perfectly on your 6 by 3.5 inch mini slimline card. Here we have our card base so far. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add that glitzy gold large polka dot piece that we foiled earlier. We're going to lay that right on top. We do have stitched mini slimline dies, and there is a piece in set 2 that fits perfectly right in the center of this, or you can always measure from corner to corner here where you see the corners and get the width and then the length that you need. So there we have so far. I love that. Look at that. I love the turquoise and red alternating colors on those scallops. Now we're ready to use our Gumball stamp and die. I simply just stamped it and colored it. And I could have stamped the gumballs right inside. I had some that I colored and die cut, so we'll glue those in there. And then we'll glue our gumball machine to the card. I'm loving that. How cute. It's just super cheerful. I love bright, cheerful cards. I've got the stamp You're One in a Million already stamped out and cut. And I just cut that little flag end. And I'm going to put that right over the bottom of the gumball machine. I've added some foam tape to the back just to give it a little dimension. There we go. But this is not the last thing we're going to do to this card. One of my favorite products that we've introduced is our Touch of Gloss. So it adds a glossy finish to anything you put it on. So we're going to add it to the glass bowl of the gumball machine and make it actually look like a glass bowl. Okay, so here we go. It's a self-leveling media. So you just kind of squeeze and then just fill in the area that you want with a thin layer. And there, now I've covered the entire surface of our bowl on our gumball machine. You can use our no clog glue pens to keep this unclogged. And one tip I like to give for closing something like this is if you tap it on the table gently before you close it up, you give the bottle a squeeze, You put the lid on while you're squeezing it, and then you release. The pressure that's built up as you're squeezing, the air will like pull back down into the bottle, and it'll pull any of the glue or the gloss, it'll pull it down out of the tip. And depending on how thick of a layer you put on, I put it on kind of thick. It'll take 30-45 minutes to dry, so you just set this aside and let it dry. It'll dry perfectly clear, and it'll look like that glass gumball machine bowl with the gumballs inside. Thanks again for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed the cards we created using the Gumball stamps and dies in 3 different ways. We also did some fun foiling to add some beautiful foiled backgrounds. You can find all these products and more at pinkandmain.com or ask your local retailer. And until next time, my friends, keep living the creative life.